angelic tracks.
Lord, walk with me. Lord, talk with me. Show me the way.
Hello, and welcome back to Luke-N-SHAE'S Place. I hope everybody's having a great start to your week. We have a banger reaction video for you guys today. And Luke, I just want to start off to say, how was your birthday, Luke? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, yeah, I had a great birthday.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Better, but I had a good time.
Could have been better. Well, you need to make up for it. Yeah, it seems like we got some sunshine out there, so you need to keep enjoying it. A lot of people enjoy their whole birthday week, but we're here live doing a reaction video for you. And before we begin, please, if you like the content that we're sharing, please click below and like our content. It puts us in the algorithm for other people to find our content, our channel. Also, share it. If you enjoyed it, share it with your friends and family. And also subscribe. That's really important, because when you subscribe, that also puts us in the algorithm, but it helps our podcast to grow. Our channel will grow when you subscribe. It's absolutely free. So thank you so much for joining us.
That's right. We got a banger video, and it's a reaction to a Harley initiated. Those guys over there are doing some positive things over there, so we're looking forward to seeing it. It's an old video, so it was the election time, and we thought we'd just expound on it, reminiscing on the day of the election and how everybody's perspective and views were at that time, and just to get a little insight on where we are today.
Yeah, so looking forward to doing this. Yeah, just to see what different people were talking about during that time.
Yeah, so let's jump into it here. Let me see.
All right.
Boom, 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 boom. It's like a good long one.
Community, right? And also to keep us abreast with what's going on live with the election. So again, we'll be pulling up the numbers as we move through. And I want to actually go ahead and talk and introduce the brothers that we got coming up on stage here. We got 4 strong brothers, starting out here with one. I got a brother. This brother here is a conservative, libertarian leaning political commentator specializing in deconstructing the prevailing narratives that divide us by race and class. We in here rocking with Benji Irby. Welcome to Hardly Initiated, brother. It is a blessing to have you joining us here today. What's up with you, Benji?
What's up? How you doing? Y'all hear me?
Yeah,
absolutely, Benji. Go ahead and pull him up, Lionel, so I can go ahead and see my brother Benji, man. There you go. Hi, welcome to the show, Benji.
Hey, what's going on?
Absolutely. I want to go ahead and introduce my next brother here, man, because I got Marcus Rogers in the building. This is a big one here because Marcus Rogers, man, this brother here is an author, a musician, a preacher, evangelist, social media influencer for the gospel of Jesus Christ. He gonna stand on it here today, and he has also advocated very strongly for Trump this upcoming election. So we will get into it. Welcome also to the show, Marcus Rogers. Pleasure to have you, my brother.
Thank you for having me. It's a real honor to be on here. God bless you guys.
Absolutely. I see you got the fireplace behind you too, keeping it cozy like we doing.
Like we doing. Hey, show our fireplace, Lano. Yeah.
I like that. Who else we got, Ty?
Man, next one we got on here, man, we got Pastor Kurt Thomas in the building. Pastor Kurt Thomas is the senior pastor of LA Renewed. This is an inclusive ministry, welcoming all backgrounds and lifestyles, okay? Pastor Kurt Thomas is an LGBTQ advocate, and he is here with us today. Welcome, Pastor Kurt Thomas, to Hardly Initiated.
Hey, how you doing? How's everybody doing?
I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, you got that slow Wi-Fi over there? Come on, brother.
Oh, what's up? No, I'm here.
All right, man.
Great conversation.
Shout out to you, Pastor Kurt. Appreciate you joining us here today. And then, man, I got another very strong brother here, Justin Gibney, man. Blessing to have him. Ordained minister, attorney, political strategist, and has done so much over the years in politics, has ran on some of the biggest platforms over these last few weeks. You guys probably saw him on Meet the Perrys. saw him on In Totality, saw him on Lecrae's platform.
Going
Now he's
crazy.
here on Hardly Initiated. Blessing to have you here. Welcome to Hardly Initiated, my brother.
We got a nice
Nice to
lineup.
be here, man. I appreciate the invitation.
Looking forward to hearing
Of
the
course.
Absolutely,
discussion.
man. You
Of
on fire
course.
right now? I done seen this man all over the internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know it wasn't official till you made it to Hardly Initiated, though. So
Exactly.
welcome. So we're gonna get straight into it, fellas. What I want you to know, everybody, that this episode again is brought to us by Hardly Initiated, or
It
I'm sorry,
is.
Hardly and Love Dating Cards. Go ahead and get your deck here. No more small talk, 100 open-ended questions for you to go ahead and pop off incredible
Here's some
conversations,
talking
date night, late night,
Yeah.
however you want to do it. This is what you need.
Absolutely. Let's break down these rules real quick, guys. Tonight's conversation will cover key issues one by one. Same thing we did last night. And toward the end of the debate, we'll open up the phone lines to hear directly from our viewers and initiates. Probably one of my favorite parts of what we're doing tonight. To our panelists, please refrain from personal attacks and excessive interruptions. Again, I know we won't have issue with that. And of course, to our viewers, keep the comments respectful as always, because moderation will be enforced if needed. And audience polls will be launched prior to each segment and will be closed at the segment's conclusion, because we really want to know where you stand on these issues. And again, all super chats over $20 will be read live on air.
Let's actually get straight into the first one here. This is a very big conversation that I'm hearing in our community. And we intentionally went ahead, guys, for those of you who see, we got a panel of black men because we want to handle these issues. And I want the perspectives of the brothers from our community. Wide background, and it's all happening here tonight. But one of the things that I keep seeing people talk about is the fact that the strategy or tactic of identity politics is consistently used to target the black community and get the black vote. So I really want to ask you guys, is identity voting harmful to blacks? And you know, not only is it harmful, I want you guys, and for some of you that may not even think that they're using identity politics, we can take it there as well. But it's an open floor, guys. Anybody can jump in. What's your thoughts on the concept of identity politics and how it's affecting our community?
If you don't mind, if I could jump in and kind of give a little context. I think
Yes, sir.
The context of this conversation matters. Identity politics in general is a product of racism, right? We all know that there was times where in this country, we had nobody representing us, right? By law, we were not able to be represented. And throughout the time, even when we began to be represented, it became very clear that if you don't have somebody at the tables, then your interest is not going to be at the table. So I think identity politics initially is a very reasonable response to a society that did not have equal representation. It's an obvious response. You saw it not just with black people, you saw it with Italians, you saw it with Irish, you've seen it with everybody. So that's the context of where it comes from. I think it's a reasonable response. However, kind of your point, I think it can go too far. What we do know is that somebody's race tells you nothing about their competence. It tells you nothing about their character. And so I do see sometimes the left using it in ways where it could be manipulative.
They're not speaking.
And so I would just say, while there's a reason that we have identity politics,
and that's what
certainly
they're
in some
trying to do.
instances it can go wrong and be misleading and be toxic.
So you get rappers and things like that.
Well, I'm glad you spoke on that, because I do have concerns about this myself, just because it makes me very uncomfortable how the Harris campaign continuously panders to the black community. I see this on the people that they have coming up to represent the black community, the people who are the celebrities, particularly who are endorsing the Harris campaign, and I think it concerns quite a few people as well. So I wanted to really throw this to Marcus. I'm sorry, not Marcus,
you'll
but
get our
Benji,
vote
and give us an idea,
Beyonce's and everybody out there
coming
dancing
from
and singing.
Conservative perspective. What do you think about how the Harris campaign is going about communicating to black people?
Easily be bought by that.
I actually do agree with a lot of what the brother just said just now, as far as the identity politics going too far. I think a lot of times what the issue is in the black community is that we have a very corrupt leadership, and our leadership, a lot of our pastors and our entertainers and our people that are ahead of us are paid off and bought and sold by the Democrat Party. So they are taught to come in and just say whatever. For example, it's like, what Kanye West said about how celebrities get the call how you're all of a sudden seeing Beyonce looking like, she's reading a hostage script, and Cardi B and all these other people coming out here doing
Cardi
these,
B,
announcements that this is what's supposed to go for Black people,
Yeah.
when you really don't have to do that, because Black people, we want the same things everybody wants. We want jobs, we want opportunities, we want safety, we want all those things, but for whatever reason, it has to be like a chocolate covered or a chocolate flavored version of America for us. And I mean, I understand why that was a thing years ago, but we should be moving toward coming away from that. But the boule and the people who are in charge, our Black overseers, as to say, don't want to do that, because that takes them out of power and that leaves us, the individual, in the driver's seat.
Exactly. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it made complete sense.
Marcus, I'm curious here. What's your thoughts on the topic at hand? Do you see identity politics at play? Do you see it having an impact on our community at all?
I think that we only see it in play with the Black community. I think it's very disrespectful. If you go to the Republican Party, they're not telling people you're not Asian, right? You're not white if you don't vote for us. This only happens in the Black community because you're supposed to think a certain way, right? If you're Black, it's expected that you think a certain way. They put you in kind of a box. And so if these identity politics are working and we have loyally voted Democrat all these years, where's the benefit from that? When you look at the predominant cities that have a big Black population, I was looking at it earlier today, the mayors have mostly been Democrat for a long time. I'm here in Chicago, and you look at the schools, they're horrible. You know what I'm saying? So they keep telling us, Joe Biden says you're not Black if you don't vote for me. All right, but what are you doing for me, right? You don't see this with any other group, right? Well, if you're white, you can vote Democrat, you can vote Republican. Okay. If you're Indian, you can vote Democrat, you can vote Republican, and nobody brings your race into it. They just want to know why. But for Joe Biden to come out and say, look, because you're Black, to me, that's a plantation mentality, right? Because the color of your skin, hey, we just automatically assume something got to be wrong with you. You got to be weird if you don't vote Democrat. And so with the identity politics, if we're for that, how has it benefited the Black community when you go and you look at Chicago, Atlanta, all the places where there's a pretty big Black population? When you look at the schools, when you look at the fact that, the average high school graduation rate for Black students in the United States was 81%, right? That's lower than the Asian Pacific Islander, 94 white, 90% Hispanic, 83. And according to available data, only around 10% of 8th grade Black males read at or above a proficient level. So if you look at cities where most of our people are, I mean, what has Democrats done for us? And then if you go look, last thing I'll say is all of the mayors, all of the politicians, they've had control of those cities for a long time, and we're voting for them blindly. And I just think it's nonsense. I think it's actually racist.
Well, and I want to throw this to Justin, because we get flooded with tons of DMs and tons of emails from our following, especially our niches, and they really have concerns about Kamala. And the biggest issue is that they're stating that, hey, she's not Black. She's not Black because.
You want to touch on that a little bit? Because what he just said was profound in the sense that we have always done that. But see, and again, the Democrats haven't, and it's been like 60 years where we didn't get anything, but we always vote for them. And I like how he mentioned the boule. That's the Steve Harveys, the Richie Smileys, all of them, and they come out, and then and the Beyonce, because she had Beyonce, but they come out and they get these things, and so we supposed to identify with it and vote according to that, because these are our favorite stars. Yeah. But the thing that stick out to me most is the thing that Malcolm X said. Malcolm X said, we the only people in society that listens to entertainers as far as our political views. And he was saying that we needed to get away from that. And he did this in the 1960s. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to get away from the mindset of listening to entertainers. But this is what they do. It's sort of like, okay, this is the routine. We're going to go out here. We're going to get the biggest entertainers. And we're going to get them to support us. Because you hardly ever see the entertainers that go with the Republicans.
You don't see it.
And then when they do, they kind of get like, okay, downcasted or E-rated. Like, oh, yeah, he's a turncoat. He's not Black, or they're not Black because they voted the way they felt, as opposed to what they were told to do.
Exactly. And that's, like I said, where it looks like they believe that we can easily be bought with just entertainment. You give us some music, you put some entertainers up there, and we're just so busy dancing, and we just casting our vote according to, oh, they had the best music. You know, like, what are we actually?
I think
that's
more,
sad. That's
more the relation that you relate to it, because, like I said, you like this person,
and they so couldn't, and that's what I'm saying. And
for him, well, I guess I would go for him.
And the fact that they think that represents me as a woman, as a Black woman, the Beyoncés, the Cardi B's, that they're not representing. I can't speak for all Black women, but if that's who you think represents you, that's not who I would say represents me as a Black woman. Sorry.
But they know that's the face of Black women that they have put out there. And like I said, Beyonce fans are, I mean, she like Michael Jackson.
See, I understand that, but that's what I'm saying.
Because of who she decided to marry. She's not Black because of where she's from. And she's not Black just because they feel like she's just been very dishonest when she presents herself, especially when she talks about coming from the middle class and whatnot. So I'm just curious, Justin, like from what you have seen and from the people that you have spoken to about, you know, which way their vote is going to swing, do you think that Black women are able to relate to Kamala Harris?
Well, I think we'll see tonight that the majority of Black women will, in one way or another, relate to her. I'm not too big on that conversation. I'm not sure that it matters that much. I kind of let people say, if you say you're this, and then that's what you are. We know she went to HBU, things of that matter. But to me, it's really about the substance. This has been played up. This is an issue, and I think I can't disagree with Marcus on this point. This is an issue that has been played up too much, and it is, and to some extent, manipulative. I want to get to the point where we're looking at people's substance. What have they done prior? What policies have they supported? And things of that nature. Now, I might push back against the idea that Republicans have done much more. I would also add that in many of the places that we're talking about that are larger cities that have these problems, part of it is a class issue too. You won't find me defending a lot of the Democratic leaders. There are some good leaders who are doing really good things and have good intentions, and there's some ones that are really just doing whatever they're told to do. I think that happens as well. But I think we have a class issue, because sometimes if you go to these smaller counties today, which are all white, but they are lower class, they suffer from a lot of the same issues. So I don't know that going to the other side is better, but I do want to get to the point where we're looking at character and competence, even though within the context of understanding why race is an issue in this
Well, see, and I think that's very interesting that you mentioned character. We had a conversation ad nauseum yesterday with the four panelists that we had on, and it seemed to be an agreement, at least from three of the four panelists, that character and morality just should not even be really considered when it comes to politics.
Two of the four were unanimous that they want their bills paid. It ain't about character. They just need their bills paid.
Right. So, you know, Pastor, I mean, you've been very quiet. I want you to chime in on this. How important is character, and what is in your personal opinion is conducive? Like what is character composed of when it comes to how voters should be moving tonight at the polls?
Well, I think that in construct, and I agree a little bit with what each one of the other panelists stated, but I think that if we go back to the 15th Amendment when it was implemented, and we see it was implemented, I think like in 1869, and then we dropped down to 1965 when they had to come back and create the Voting Rights Act. And so from then until now, people have been fighting right in a race dynamic. And so can you take race out of the equation? I don't think that you can. But I believe that the important thing is that we make sure that we push the candidates that we need to push forward, that we make sure that they're competent enough to be able to handle, like I think who is it? Marcus talked about the Democratic mayors. Well, the mayors can only do so much as opposed to what the city council And so I think we need to look at like the long stream of everybody being congruent together in order to make something positive happen.
So you know
Can I
what?
jump right there?
Go ahead.
So what I would say to that is, I think that's nonsense, respectfully, because bring the migrants in and immediately they're giving them apartments, they're giving them credit cards, they're giving them loans, they're giving them cell phones. The reason why Kamala's race came up is because it seems like she's using it to manipulate us. She was known as the first Indian this, the first Indian that. And then when she realized, hold up, I need Black people. Now I need to appeal to them, which the Democratic Party is very good at doing. And I think it's actually disrespectful
because she wasn't professed to be a Black woman
out and
in
she's
her
twerking
past.
for votes. Like that's what they think of Black people. You can bring these rappers out, right? There's so many other qualified, capable, intelligent Black people that you can bring. But this is what the Democrats believe. Let's bring these rappers, these filthy rappers out there. Let them shake something. Let's bring Beyonce out there. And you guys are just going to give us the vote. But hold up. You guys got all this money for Ukraine. Where's the money for the hoods in Chicago? You got all this money for these wars, but you can't find no money for our schools that have been bad in Democratic cities forever. So when we say, oh, well, the mayors and, certain Democrats, they can't do anything, it's simply not true. I know for a fact here in Chicago at the town hall meetings, they're fed up and they're holding the mayor accountable. They say, hey, we voted for you. You're a brother. We supported you. But how is it that you guys are taking care of the migrants? How is it that you guys are finding money for the migrants? And all these years, right, we're over here struggling, we're over here hurting, and we're tax-paying citizens. So it's just funny how they can magically find money for the migrants, they can magically find money for the wars, they can magically find money for everything else. But when it comes to our community, and we've been voting Democrat for forever.
What you got a problem with?
My issue was what I agree with them 100% with that whole thing. And it just makes me think, and I'm all for people who need assistance and they need help. And I get it, but you have to, and I always use the preference of you have a household. So you have a husband who's working hard for his family. Okay. You're not going to work hard for your family and then go next door and take a meal and take your paycheck to the family next door. Now your family's sitting here hungry and without. You're going to take care of home first, right? Then if I can help you, or if I have if I can help, bless your family and your kids, then I'm going to do that. You don't leave your house to go take care of somebody else's house. You have to take care of home first, your family first. Make sure your kids are fed. And I feel like our country failed our people. We have so many homeless people. And I see the people that they were putting up in these hotels. It's like, okay, they're coming here. They're not even coming here legally. Okay. So that's the issue I had. Come here the right way. And then, have our country take care of you that way. But when you're coming here illegally and then you're being funded, you're getting businesses, okay? You're getting loans, you're getting things like that, but you got people here right in your home, in your country, who have been trying to get here and get to these places, and they're struggling. They can't get assistance that actually need them, or they're struggling to find jobs. And so that's my issue. Take care of home first, then help somebody else. That's my issue.
Loyally, where is the benefit from that? Like, where is the benefit? I don't see it. And then here come the migrants, and boom, we're going to take care of them quick.
Wow.
We got a few more minutes on this one before we move to the next one. But Benji, you look like you had something to say here. Benji, what you had?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, but for the Black community, the reason why our community is so messed up is honestly, it's our own fault. I mean, we vote 90% for Democrats for like 60, 70 years. And do we get 90% of Democrats' effort toward us? No, we do not. At the end of the day, it's all about political leverage. The Democrats realize that now they've put in, 20, 30 million illegals now. So the future is Hispanic. Black folks, our little issues, our little 13% ain't gonna mean nothing. I tell Black people all the time, if you think things are bad right now at 13%, what do you think they're gonna care at 5%, at 3%? No one's gonna give a damn. And all these illegals come in, they don't care about your Black struggle, they don't care about your slavery, they don't care about none of that. And these are the people in our country now. I think even going back to reparations, which I always like to talk about, because if we want to go back to reparations, let's talk about the fact that Obama had the votes for reparations from October 2009 until February 2010. They had supermajority in Congress. So Obama could have passed reparations, and the Republicans couldn't have done a damn thing about it. But why would they do that? Because they don't have to. They have our votes regardless. The same thing even going down to January 6th in 2020. All these things that Black Democrats make fun of, oh, them crazy white folks. But guess what? Them crazy white folks, they took their problem to the Capitol, who actually did the thing to them, not burning up their own community.
Wow.
Also, if you look at when they were trying to seat what's his name, and Matt Gaetz and the 20 in the House would not seat him until they had certain concessions. Why could the Congressional Black Caucus not say, we're not seating Nancy until we get reparations? We're not seating Nancy until we have to do XYZ for the Black community. But they know they don't have to do that. All they gotta do is go to the Black church like Kamala did, do a little show, and we're gonna vote for them. And they already know that, because at the end of the day, why should they do anything for votes they already have? We're like the woman who's on the side of the bed. We done gave up our cooch. The man and putting on his clothes and his jacket, leaving us sitting there holding the cover looking crazy. That's Black folks. We give our leverage away every time. I hope and pray tonight that Black men, especially Black people, can make some kind of dent away from the Democrat Party. I really want Trump to win. The reason why I want him to win, not even so much because of Trump, to be honest. It's bigger than Trump. The Democrats cannot feel like they can pander and put this curry.
That was an interesting analogy right there. And that's what I've been saying for the longest, and this is how they treat you. Because it's like I said, once they got your vote, and once they feel they have your vote, they feel they don't have to do anything else for you.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they were offering, after Biden got into office, he was doing all these extras for people of the LGBTQ, but then he told Black people, well, we're going to put Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill.
Yeah.
For discussion. And it's like, okay.
But see, even before Biden, Obama, because we were in large numbers voting for Obama. And when he got in office, what did he do for the Black community? Because he was too busy doing for that.
He straightened it, but he said he couldn't do it because Black people are minorities. And so I can't give to one minority over. So that was his thing, because once they classified us as minorities, not as Americans. See, that's what.
Yeah, I get that. We
were classified as minorities. Here we go. I can't help you. Because, see, I would have to help everybody else here. That's a minority. That was the issue.
Queen, fake Black lady out here in front of us and put Megan Thee Stallion out front. Because guess what? If this wins, then they're going to keep doing that. So the only way that's going to stop is Democrats have to lose. They need to lose this election. So maybe they can come in 2028 at the jump ball election when it's free fall on both sides and say, hey, Black people, let's do some actual financial stuff. Let's actually make your schools better. Let's actually do something instead of telling people, oh, you're racist, and if you vote for Trump, the police gonna kill you, and all this other foolishness. Like, I'm just so sick of this foolishness from the Democrat Party. And I don't even blame the voters as much as I blame the leadership, the preachers.
Well,
they just had this whole video with Erica Campbell and all these gospel singers and the Clark sisters pushing Kamala Harris, the abortion queen. Like, what kind of Jesus do you people have? What kind of Bible have you read? And mind you, of all of you, I'm the most secular, I'm the most fractured. I'm actually trying to keep my mouth together, like all these pastors here. I'm with the pastors, so I'm very respectful because I cuss. But it's just like, y'all are supposed to be examples of Christ, and then y'all are supporting the curry abortion queen. No wonder people don't go to church. You wouldn't catch me dead in the church now because they don't live up to nothing. Like, it's just a whole bunch of boule foolishness. And it's like, for Black people that are independent minded, this is foolish. So I really hope and pray to God that Black.
Well, let me ask you, what is one of the tactics you saw the Republicans use to throw fear into Democrat people that was going to vote Democrat?
Okay, so the biggest thing that I've seen as far as with the Republicans, so not necessarily the fear tactics, I would say, but the fear tactics, I would say, with that whole LGBTQ, I hope I'm saying the right amount of letters, but with that whole community, so what you had was, you would have the Republicans, saying basically, oh, kind of like acting like, with the Democrats being in office, okay, basically our country's going to turn that way. That's your choice. But the fear tactics with that whole thing.
That's based off of, that's what liberals are. Liberals are people who let everybody do what they want to do.
Yeah, I get that.
But that's not a fear tactic. That's who they are, because see, that's how they lived. And that goes back to, if we have to go back to the 70s, the hippies were liberal. and they wanted to do in war. They was out there marching.
I get that.
That's who they
But that's
are.
the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that was being said.
That's what they believed in. And so yeah, they would have came in, and we're in liberal. I'm letting everything go.
And it was more so, okay, well, you know.
But it wasn't. That's not a fear tactic. That's who they are.
Well, it was a bunch of things that were being said about, you know, with the Democrats being in office. Okay, I get it. There was a higher abortion rate, this, that, and other, but they were acting like, okay, this is going to be the biggest thing, and you know, you're going to have bathrooms with men going in your bathroom.
And they were so
okay, so
that's
but
who they are.
Honestly, though,
black folk, the abortion is the #1 killer of black folk.
But when you talk about different tactics and different things, I know Republicans were using back in 2020 when Trump was first in office. There was a lot of, and I wouldn't even say fear tactics, but there was a lot of people coming out of their shell kind of thing. So when people think of the Republican Party with Trump being in office, when they think of it as a racist thing, it's only because of different experiences they might have had. And I know just online, not even telling anybody who I voted for back then, but I would have random people, I would have random people from the Republican Party, just me being online on my Facebook, whatever, they would sit there and message me racial comments like, hey, go back to Africa, Shaniqua, all kinds of stuff. So when you have people reaching out to you, I don't even know these people. So it was a lot of things that people were experiencing, racial stuff that people were doing. Not that I'm saying Trump was influencing that, but some of his followers were taking steps to actually push that whole narrative.
See, that's the
it
thing.
Wasn't just the news doing it.
My thing is this, and I tell you this all the time. See, when it came to that, I don't know what you did to get that.
No, but you don't have to do anything for people's ignorance. Like I said, I could.
No, but what I'm saying is you had to be on some type of site talking. I'm saying I don't get into the talk because that has nothing.
No, I wasn't actually on a site talking. And you want to know something? And it's crazy because I'm not going to say my profession. We could talk about that often because that's going to tell what I do for a living. I'm on a site where I'm not on a lot of platforms on Facebook. It actually was on a site. It was actually on a work site, and we were discussing work on there. And a couple people made comments or whatever the case might be. And a couple of the people that were employed with they were on that site, and they were actually going in on people. They were picking people with names that sounded like black names. And my name's Shantae. It is actually a French name, but you know what? They actually went in on me. It had nothing to do with me commenting on anything. I just want to dispel that whole notion. It wasn't something I was doing. It was just sometimes people are just ignorant, Luke.
The question was, what was the Republicans doing that got you that felt like it was a threat? See, when we talk about they were saying Trump was going to put you back on the plantation. Black people going.
Well, that's how some of his followers were saying that. I just gave you an example where they were coming at me on social media. I've had other people that had the same thing happen.
And put Trump over the thing because we don't.
So check this out, Benji, because a very strong opinion. This actually takes us right into our next one because
all that kind of crazy stuff. We're not going to act like that didn't happen.
I think the race thing is
we got about 15 minutes of just in time to get heads up.
I just think the race thing is so important because I can't even walk. I mean, today I can't even walk down the street without a Harris supporter assuming that I'm voting the same way.
Sure.
I'm getting copious amounts of texts from family and friends talk about you voting. I tell them I'm considering who I'm voting for. All of a sudden the text stopped. Not to say I'm voting for left or voting for right, but just because I'm not voting Democrat, it's an issue. So I do think it's a real issue. But as Justin stated, I do think it's important that we get down to the substance. So Justin, my question for you as we close this out, how do we get that? How do we get past voting for who is black or judging people for who they vote if they're not voting for somebody who is black? How can we get past that and get to the substance? What do we as voters need to do?
I mean, we have to be honest. I think somebody brought up, the mayor in Chicago right now. I think that's an example of a mistake being made for getting everybody behind somebody that doesn't seem like he's ready for the job. I think he has a 14% favorability rate. That's an example of that. And we have to be honest about that. That's the first thing that needs to happen. Somebody needs to point and say, if we really care about these kids, if we really care about the issues like we say we do, then we got to make sure the person that we put in has a level of competence in our first category that we care about. Because I think representation matters. It does matter. but it can't be the first category that we look at. And I would just add this though too. I want to make, while there are many things that the Democratic Party does wrong, you're not going to hear me defending some of the celebrities that they brought up on stage. I think we can use our leverage better there. I want to look at the alternative too, because I don't think the alternative has been great either. When we talk about migration is hasn't just been a Democratic issue. It's also been an establishment Republican issue, where they've had their incentive not to want to get rid of migrants or handle it in a different way. And I also want to say this: the black community has many issues that have to be dealt with. Some of an institutional making.
I don't know what they're saying, but I guess they're assuming who we voted for. Hold on, let's just looks like we have a comment in the chat. Okay.
She just hand waves every issue away. This dismissive shit is why you will lose again.
Okay, so for your information, and I thank you for commenting, I actually voted for Trump, and I wish I didn't, but I did vote for Trump. So you're assuming I voted for Harris, but I did not. But I will say that with all that's going on in the administration, if I could take back my vote and not vote for anybody, because I really didn't like either one of the parties, but no.
See, you had to read.
Because this person is assuming that I voted.
They're talking about Kamala. She just hand waves every issue away. This dismissive is why she will lose again. See, they're talking about Kamala with that.
Yeah, but what is the other comment?
It says, what employer would welcome attitude into the workplace? Guaranteed low morale leads to turnover, loss of productivity, and a high probability of litigations in the workplace.
So I agree with that 100%, but it wasn't in the workplace. So some work sites have, especially on Facebook, you know how they have different chat groups or whatever. I was actually in a chat group, and there was a couple of us in the chat group that got that kind of issue that happened. Somebody just came in and started, and I would assume if you were on that site, you were an employee for the company that I work for. And the person, there was two people, they were just going under, I guess, assuming everybody on there voted for, at the time, they thought that we voted for Biden. So at that time, they were just spewing out hate. They were like, oh, go back to Africa. I'm like, what is this about? So yeah. And as far as reporting them, there's people all over the country that was in that chat. So I don't even know what office they worked for. So, but I do apologize, because I did think that you assumed that I voted for. That's what a lot of people assume because of your color.
I don't want to put all that on migrants. I don't want to put all that on these people, many of whom are just suffering and trying to survive. I think as Christians, we have to have compassion for that, as well as good policy to make sure that we have some order on the border.
First of all, my boy Justin in the church right now, so it's really it's really righteous over there. But I want to let's actually go into this, because just some off what Benji was talking about, when it's some really touchy topics. We went into abortion yesterday, where you feel like there's this moral issue attached to the decision that you make that really drives people away from the Democratic Party, because now Democrat and abortion has become synonymous. Another thing that has become synonymous is just the LGBTQ concept, because a lot of people feel like if I vote Democrat, I'm pushing LGBTQ on my children,
biggest thing,
on the future generation. I'm endorsing the LGBTQ community and movement.
And then you have others that are just saying, hey, I can vote this way and still not be agreeable. I can be Christian, I can vote left and still not be agreeable to that. So I do want to get some perspective from you guys. But really quick, I want to close out this poll. I dropped the poll, is identity voting harmful to blacks? And it says the poll, according to the poll, 88% of people say yes, absolutely. And really quick, Delano, I want you to go ahead and pull up that article from the AP really quickly, and I want to read that. Now, this is very interesting to me, because I think it's important to know the background of, kind of, and we're going to get into Trump.
So, where's it? We're seeing on the screen. I can't even see us in the little square thing.
Well, you can talk.
Okay, but the reason what I wanted to pause it for is what he just said. Okay, when you are, like, let's take for Christians, for instance, like myself. Okay, I'm a Christ follower. I believe in Jesus Christ. Okay, and with that, and I listen, whatever somebody's lifestyle is, I'm a people person. I love people, but your choice is your choice. But when it comes to my Bible, and I was always taught, okay, you should be picking a candidate that more lines up with what you believe in. And it's like, it was like, okay, do I vote for this candidate? Okay, let me see the policies. Kamala wasn't really given that many policies. She was just given more background. Oh, a middle class, this, that. I'm like, well, what are you going to do for the country? What are the things that you're lining up with? She wasn't really saying nothing. All I was hearing is more rights, abortion, more this, and then I heard what really made me not even want to step on that side was, and I've been a Democrat all my life, but when she started pushing that on the kids, when I found out that she was going to allow kids, if they felt that, okay, I think it's 8 years old. When you become 8 years old, you don't even have to have your parents' consent. If a little boy feels like he's a little girl, he can go get that surgery done. That's a problem with me. When you're messing with the children, I feel like a child should not be making a decision like that. That's something that I couldn't go that route. So it's like, okay, but then I had Trump was my other choice. And I'm like, okay, I never really aligned with what Trump was pushing. So, but then I'm like, okay, am I a Christian if I vote for Kamala? Because I don't believe in babies being, I don't believe that contraceptive means, hey, abortion. I feel like there's other measures you should be doing before the abortion.
What did you feel Trump was pushing?
Okay, you're only stopping me when I say something about Trump. You got to let me finish, and then you would have heard, okay? What I'm saying is I never aligned with Trump. I never aligned with Trump. I grew up in New Jersey. I'm I'm close to Atlantic City. And ever since I was younger, Trump, if we heard his name in that New Jersey, we knew how Trump was with his casinos and things like that. That was just me growing up with the mindset, okay, he's a crooked businessman. He's like a crooked car salesman. That I grew up with that mindset because I would hear it around the house. With Trump wasn't one of those people where people in New Jersey, the part that I lived in close to Atlantic City, where Trump was a liked person because we went to his casinos. We saw different things. There was different things back in the day that I knew with some people being treated certain ways and some of his. So that was just me personally not really liking him because of that. As far as his policies and things like that, I wasn't even trying to vote Republican because I've never been a Republican. But when I saw what the Democrats were pushing and my eyes started to be open about all this stuff that they're shoving down your throat and they're pushing it on the kids in schools, it's like, okay, who aligns more with God? I didn't think neither one of them did. And I tried to pick the lesser of the two.
Harris campaign, but we just wanted to pull up these things to really keep going up. We want to bring up these things. Now, you got the LGBTQ community, and I was pretty blown away by this, but this is 2 decades ago in 2004. It says that pretty much Kamala was only one of few who was actually in support of the LGBT community at that time. Mm-hmm. In fact, she actually presided, or I don't know if that's the proper word, but she pretty much married a LGBTQ couple, officiated a LGBTQ couple, which really blew my mind. So she has actually been a proponent for LGBTQ rights for 20 plus years. Yeah. So this is my question for the panel. Okay. This is my question for the panel. Is voting Democrat, is that an automatic endorsement of the LGBTQ community? And Pastor Kurt, I want to start with you on that one.
Well, I would say no, and the reason why is because there are many there are issues on both sides. The Republicans have voted to allow certain things to be in play, which is why you have LGBT people that actually vote Republican, and then you have LGBT people that vote on a Democratic lens. Is the Democratic lens more exposed than the Republican lens? I would say yes, because it's more forthright, it's more open, it's more honest. On the Republican end, it's like, we're going to allow you to do this, but if we allow you to do this, we're going to scale it back to this degree just to make sure that that we're getting the things across that we need to get across without causing conflict. Whereas in the Democrats on this side, we're saying it's going to be conflictual, and we're going to stand up for our rights, and we're going to be gay and present versus suited and present.
Wow, he lost me on that.
Understood. I want to go
Hans,
ahead and get
mark
my
him.
man
Thank
Marcus.
you again
Marcus,
for
Marcus,
coming
is
in
making,
the chat.
Marcus looked like his eyes was
Man,
closed the whole time he was
Panic.
speaking.
Yeah, what's going on over
Marcus,
there, Marcus?
give me your thoughts on this concept here. Is voting Democrat endorsing the LGBTQ community?
And as a Christian, is that the right thing to do? If that is going to typically
Like, who do
be
you
on
vote
the
for
agenda
when they
for
both
the
seem
left?
crooked? It sucks.
Let's put it this way, right? You look at the Bible. Let's go to the Bible. Daniel and the lion's den, the 3 Hebrew boys getting thrown in the fire. Esther. All of them had legislation
The
that
better
was
question
passed by
is,
people
what
who
does
were trying
Donald
to get
Trump
at God's
have
people.
that's
Right, and
actually
so we're
aligning
going to
with
throw you in the
God's word?
fire.
But other
Right, if
than
you
he's
don't bow
not
down,
pushing
we're going to
that
throw you in
whole
the
thing
lion's
on,
den
you know,
if you keep on
changing your
praying.
kids into,
Why, as a
you know,
Christian, would I
if they
vote
feel like
for the
a,
ones that
they feel
are
like a
turning
puppy
America
today,
into a
or if they
modern
feel
day
like
Sodom
a,
and
you
Gomorrah?
know,
Why as a
that whole
Christian would I vote
thing.
for the
I
ones
don't
where
agree with them
you see
pushing that
when
on the kids.
Obama, signed that
But
legislation, we
I
opened
don't
the
think
door a
either
little bit,
one of
and
the
as we know
parties are
from a
lining up with
spiritual
God's word,
perspective,
honestly. So
right?
it's like you're
Once we
stuck.
opened the door, it has gotten worse and worse and worse to the fact we had to take some cases up to the Supreme Court. You're a Christian business owner, and they come into your shop and they say, "Hey, I want you to make a gay wedding cake. I want you to put this message on there." As the Christian business owner, you say, "No, that doesn't line up with my beliefs."
Well, I
Kind of
can
like
name
the
50
3 Hebrew
things.
boys.
I can name
That's
50
me
things that
bowing
we're
down.
talking over the video.
Now that
All this stuff
LGBTQ
Trump is
couple
doing
says, "Well, I'm going
got
to
in
take you to
office. And
court.
who's
I'm going
running
to
the
sue
country?
you.
Elon Musk?
Right? I'm going to make
I don't
you
even
bow
think Trump
down."
is
It's
the
the same
president.
thing that was
Elon Musk
happening in the
is.
Bible. Same thing
He's
that we
calling
see
the
with the
shots.
pronouns. You're going to use my pronouns at the school, at the job, right? Or there's going to be consequences. I'm going to counsel you.
Money
So
talks
why,
in
as
this
a
country.
Christian,
You
would
got
I
money, you
vote
can run the
for
country.
people that are creating legislation, pushing legislation that's going to be to persecute me? Right? That makes absolutely no sense. Why would I, as a Christian, would I vote for men and women's sports? Why, as a Christian, would I vote for men and women's bathrooms? That doesn't make any sense. Now, if both sides were pushing that kind of legislation, hey, then it would be a different story. But as of right now, that's not true. Conservatives don't want men and women's sports. They don't want men and women's bathrooms. And then even it's witchcraft. God made a man, right? He told us to be fruitful and multiply, right?
Oh, I didn't even
He said
realize
marriage is
for the
between a
pastor
man
on here.
and a woman. So anything that goes against that is the spirit of the Antichrist. So we see the spirit of the Antichrist. The Bible says, roaming in the earth already. That's defying God. 2 men cannot be fruitful and multiply. 2 women cannot be fruitful and multiply. There's so many Bible verses that talks about this, right? But they're also trying to push this in the education, in the media. Why? Because it's a demonic spirit.
Yeah,
the Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and
They're
blood,
pushing in
period.
the
And so the devil
I
will
don't
use
think
politics,
that's
he'll
for
use
school.
media, he'll
I
use
think that's what I
entertainment. The
disagree
Bible
with.
also says, guess
They're
what? In the
making
last days, there'll be
teachers
doctrines of
actually
devils and seducing
put
spirits.
that
That
stuff
there
in
will be a
lesson
great
plans
falling
and
away.
stuff.
People will have
No,
itching ears. I could do
don't
whatever I
agree with
want.
that.
I could live however
Let a kid
I
be a
want.
kid.
That's what the Democratic Party runs on. Love is love. Let everybody just love whoever they want to love. Let everybody just come across the border. Let everybody just do whatever they want to do. And the problem with that is no matter how respectful we want to be about it, eventually there's going to be a collision. Eventually we're going to have a problem.
All over
When
it,
you
man.
let everybody just do what they want to do, that's why you got people identifying as cats, identifying as dogs, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. At some point, there's going to be a collision, and you're going to try to impose your will on my children, impose your will through legislation, and that goes all the way back to the Bible.
Now, Pastor Kurt, I think it's important just to recognize. I'm happy that he's in this
We have
conversation
the
because
leaders
Pastor
that are
Kurt
telling you
has
that this
an
stuff is
inclusive
okay.
church. He embraces the
That clearly
LGBT
goes
community in
against
his
the
church.
Bible. It's like
You are a pastor, and personally, on a
actually
personal
believing
level, a part of
pastors
the
like him
a part of the
who aren't preaching
LGBTQ
the
movement.
truth.
But that's what he was saying. What he broke down is what Republicans stands for. See, regardless of what Donald Trump, that's why when I asked you, I said, what did Donald Trump say that got you? Like what got them was, like I said, a lot of people say the same thing. Her stance on these subjects is what got her not voted for.
And that's why I didn't vote for her, because of what she believed. Yeah.
But then when we talk about Donald Trump, there was none of these things.
I just don't like him. I've never liked him. And I had to vote for the lesser two evils. I told you I didn't like him since I was a kid.
Okay, but that's
from New Jersey.
That's not what that's what they were talking about originally.
As far as his policies are concerned, there's some things that I don't agree with.
The beginning of this show, they were talking about identity policies. Okay, so that's what you're doing. You're saying, well, I just did not like him.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing he said or done to me. I just don't like him. So that's what they were saying. They were basing that off there. Because the majority.
If I have to tell the
They
truth,
were
why
saying-
I don't like him personally. I didn't want to go there. I don't like him. I told you why I didn't like him from New Jersey. It had nothing to do with him running for president. It had everything to do with his character before he became president, and it had everything to do with, okay, let's not, there's racist stuff that goes on there, and okay, not to mention his father being in a picture with the Ku Klux Klan. Okay, so we're gonna just not act like this person. Yes, for me as a black woman in America, everything about him and some of his followers have screamed racist. So yes,
but
okay, that's why.
But again,
everybody has their personal reasons why they don't like someone. Okay, so
this is a thing where you got to be able to talk those way.
But I'm telling you,
I know you're talking, and I'm not getting the chance to rebuttal.
But you asked me.
Gay black man.
Okay, you don't like my
I do,
I know
and
you
I respect.
I don't.
It ain't nothing about liking your answer. See how you just did that?
And I do want to say that contextually, that there are. I mean, we could argue. Scripture can be argued for context and history. But what I will say is that
identity. And
I think
I had
that
to vote for the lesser of two
when we
evils.
look at the landscape of where we are in this election, that is super important for us to understand the love factor that's associated with God loving everybody. And so I think that in that contentious moment, there are things that we can agree and disagree on, but who is the better party to move us forward so that we can all sit at the table together rather than existing separately. I think that's the main thing. And I hate that that people think that just because gay people want rights, that it causes us to be an infraction towards people's children or whatever the case may be.
I'm gonna read this chat right quick. We got a chat from Hans Markham, and it says, "I'm sorry if I came off harsh earlier. She makes a right decision when it counts. Love y'all."
Yeah, thank you for that comment. And if you're referring to Kamala, right? So honestly, I really don't know what she did as a vice president. You know anything?
I think that that is not the,
but thank you for your comment. No, you weren't harsh at all.
That is the stance that's taken, is that we want the same rights as everyone else. We want to love as everyone else. We don't want to be disenfranchised.
And this guy that's
in the
talking,
way that we
he's a
love,
pastor, right?
not exposing ourselves to anybody that doesn't want to be exposed to us, but let us be us.
See,
and make it a normal
there's
thing.
a separation with church, and that's the one thing I do respect.
I would just say that
about
the reality,
Trump,
though, it might not be
he said
you,
he wanted to get
but
back
we've
to church.
seen
That's
videos
why
of like a
I
whole
went with him,
gay man's
because he
choir
said the
saying
word
we're coming
church,
for
and
your children. We've seen
I'm a
guys
Christian
at
woman,
the gay
so
parade, naked in
all
front
that
of
other
kids, and they
stuff
don't think
was
that's
just
a problem. We've
contaminating the
definitely
children,
seen
and
that
I just
in
didn't
Chicago.
agree with
We see
that.
how that community seems to have a fascination. Like, why are we teaching this to my fifth grader, fourth grader? Why is it that I have to be concerned if I send my kid to school that, there's some girls who might want to dress tomboyish or something, and then the teacher feels obligated to say, or to suggest, maybe you're the opposite sex. Like, just teach my kids math, just teach my kids reading, and keep it pushing. And so that might not be you. You might move respectffully, and I respect that. But the reality is, if we're being honest, why does it have to be in
a lot
every
of parents
cartoon?
started homeschooling because of
school? You know what I'm saying? So there is,
and that's what that's one of the reasons why I
we even see, on another note, Kamala Harris, she wants to use tax dollars for guys in prison to have that sex change, but we can't pay for cancer patients. How do we have money for guys in prison to get a sex change?
I was more
what about all the cancer patients? So that lets me know there's some kind of agenda going there. There might be people out there who are respectful like you, and what you do, that's between you and God.
Anything. I voted
but we gotta be real. There's some people out here who are really wilding, and they seem to be targeting children. Why do we have these drag queens reading books to little kids? Why do we have these drag queen strip shows where it's like we're not allowed to see them? They got little kids dressed in a provocative way with grown men twerking, shaking, rolling on the floor, dancing in front of them. Why is that okay? Because if a grown straight man danced in front of a kid like that, it would be a uproar. It would be all of the media. But if a grown man dresses up as a woman and he's twerking and shaking it in front of little kids, the Democrats don't have no problem with that.
So check this out.
But I
want hold on one second. I got 5 minutes of my brother Justin's time here.
Right.
So what I want to ask Justin real quick while he's here, Justin, do you feel like there is an intentional agenda
I just wanted to hear what
by the Democrats to push homosexuality on our generation?
I think there are some elements on the left who do have an agenda in that regard. I also know a lot of Democrats who are Orthodox Christians who disagree with those things. So yeah, there are groups who are powerful groups in the Democratic Party that do seem to have that agenda. I'm not going to deny that. But I do want to inject. I do want to say that let's deal with this issue and its complexities. I think we're focusing on the extremes and not necessarily say, okay, let's look at this full issue. We can talk about the church. We can talk about the country. If you look historically, these are groups of people that have been treated poorly. I hope everybody on the line can agree. Historically, people have been dehumanized and treated horribly in some instances, even inside the church. So as we talk about this, I think it's a mistake not to talk about it with a level of compassion, to say, okay, I may disagree with you. I'm not affirming myself, but I would say I don't think you should be discriminated against when it comes to housing, when it comes to banking, and a number of other things, and just trying to live your life.
Be a thing
when we just talk about the extremes and when we just talk about our disagreement with it, we miss the human side of it and how we have to care for people, even if we have those disagreements. The church has not always done that. And if we don't acknowledge that, I think it's hard for us to have the credibility to disagree constructively. And that's kind of what I'm asking for.
You know, it's really interesting because when Marcus made the statement, that's how I know very powerful people have to be a part of it. Because even just myself, it's very difficult to turn on a television, watch a TV show or movie without seeing some aspect of the LGBTQ community being inserted in it, even in, you know, shows and movies designed for children. So I think that's why a lot of heterosexual guys are just generally concerned about who in power might be bringing this to us at scale, even though
it's almost like you feel
Pastor Kerr, I
obligated
don't think
to
Pastor Kerr
vote.
has the power to
then it's
even
like, okay,
be the person that's
who
in
do I
charge of
pick?
making
And
those decisions.
it was
But
a
it does seem
no-brainer
like
for me
people
because
in power
all the stuff,
are
like I
trying
said,
to
that was
put this
just
in front of us more than we've ever seen
crazy.
in our lifetime.
Right.
So
and I
that's the
saw
strange
people
thing about
struggling
it. Is it
that
safe
actually
to
pay
put that
taxes
though
here
with the Democratic
denied
Party? Is that
loans
the
and things like
Democratic
that?
Party
And I'm like,
that is
okay, well,
pushing
this
that,
is not
or is that
good.
somebody? Benji, what's your thoughts on that?
So
Well, yeah, I
yeah,
actually was speaking Democrat Party. I was going to actually speak to it from a political lens. This is the thing. We were talking about compassion. Everybody's like, oh, okay, I have compassion for the gays, the trans, or whatever. But there's no compassion if I go and misgender somebody and I lose my job. There's no compassion where, oh, if you say XYZ thing and you're a teacher in the school and you don't go with the trans agenda, you lose your job, your other person, or your social media is taking away all this stuff. So I don't want to hear about no compassion when y'all don't have compassion for people who are not 100% for that. And as far
so we only have compassion for people who have compassion for us. Is that how that should go?
It seems like there's just no
But that
compassion.
is
People
true.
don't
People
toe the
were losing their
LGBT line. So
jobs.
what I was
I would agree.
saying,
I don't think that
was-
yeah,
justifies it
that's
on our
true.
end.
That's
So what I was going to continue saying was that there are people, and
They were
they
getting
happen to all be
canceled and
Democrats who
everything.
push these sort of things. I don't really see too many Republicans pushing this. I will say this: as a Trump Republican, Trump is not the most conservative, person. Obviously, he's actually more liberal than most Republicans. Actually, a lot of Republicans don't like him for that reason. He had the LGBT flag when he was he actually held it when he was campaigning at 16. But the thing is that I just feel like it's like my mother says, it's like you give the devil an inch, you want to take a mile. Most conservatives are okay with, fine, you're gay, be gay, that's fine. Keep it away from our kids. We don't have to teach you how to be institutionalized. But the problem is when you stand against that or have any type of disagreement, now you want to take your show away. Now you can't say this on Twitter. Now you can't say that. And that actually radicalizes people against gay people. Makes you say no.
They were changing things, pictures on syrup bottles and cereal bottles, rice. It was just crazy.
I understand, too, but he's the gay pastor is not really saying that he wants these things, because the majority of people, just like when they took the syrup and they took Ancient Mama off the syrup,
yes,
these people, some of these people are just asking to be left alone. And okay, we're putting them in that pile of a group of people who are pushing an agenda, which he's saying he wasn't pushing the agenda. He's just a part of the.
He's a part of. Yeah, I get that.
Is doing certain.
Yeah.
That these people, some of the people that's in the agenda wants these things.
Yeah.
But it's hard to target him because he's saying, well, I know a lot of
well,
black
they targeted
people
him for
is-
another reason, though.
I know a lot of
because he's a pastor and he's professing to be gay. That was his thing.
Oh no!
Earlier they said that you're a pastor and you're
about right now. It's like this: if all black people was robbing, and I'm not a person that robs or steals, they gave that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay. See, now if I'm not one of them, I'm still going to be looked at as one of them because I'm still black.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying here. Because in this right here, he's looking at it like, since I am gay. Okay, y'all looking at like I was pushing that was trying to push the stuff on kids. I might not agree with it, but at the same time, but because of my group, the people that y'all see is pushing it, and I happen to be a part of the group, y'all look at it like I was pushing
that you were pushing it. Yeah, true.
No, F these gays. I'm going to go straight hard right now because of what they're doing. I think that we can have some sort of balance in between, but I think that the LGBT machine needs to show some compassion to regular people. At the end of the day, no problem with gay people and all that stuff, whatever, but it is an alternative lifestyle. It's not the default. The default is man and woman. The default is what can produce children. That's just what it is. So I just feel like it's fine. I feel like gay people are normal. That's fine. But what's not normal is some big old trans man in a sports game with a woman beating her up to the point where she's got concussions and whatnot. I don't understand why the trans community can't have their own trans games. They insist upon destroying women's sports. And this is what radicalizes people against the trans community, because like we were minding our business, but now y'all want to come and be an affront to us. And that's the problem. So I think that's where a lot of that comes from. I don't think your average lay gay person wants to terrorize or make other people feel a certain way, but it does seem like a lot of these people that are in power, a lot of them being Democrats from San Francisco, like Kamala, seem to have this issue where you're going to take LGBT, and if you have any disagreement, we're going to come for all your stuff.
Can I say first, I don't believe that
but yeah, I think
that being gay is a lifestyle.
Hold on, let him speak, and then we'll pause it. I want him to get his point out.
And what Pastor Kurt, an orientation, yeah, what is
so it? A lifestyle means it's something that a person actually chooses, or a person actually just like you could go just pick up something. But orientation is an innate nature that the person actually, this is who I am. This is who I believe that God created me to be. And so I believe that God created me to be the person that I am, wholly, as a gay Black man. And so that is the way that I accept myself. I don't look at it as me being intentionally just choosing a side and deciding like what I want to be. And as far as my trans brothers and sisters as well, I believe that innately that God created them the way that they are, and that's the reason why they are the way that they are. But that's a conversation for another day. But what I wanted to make inference on is that I think that it's super important for us to understand that if as we talk or discuss about LGBT issues, and we talk about the LGBT community, there are things that Trump has done in society and got convicted for, that we could ride on that as well, but we're not riding on it. I think that we need to look at it from the perspective of voting from your heart and what matters to you most. And I think that's the choice that should be made for the people whoever's voting tonight, is that what matters to you most, and that's who you vote for. If it's Kamala, you vote for Kamala. If it's Trump, you vote for Trump. And we leave it there, and we move forward, and we allow it to be
that's
exactly
giving
what it
people
needs to
hope. Like, okay,
now
you have felons. People are saying that. Nobody's talking about that.
In which Kamala convicted wrongly, or the Black woman whose child had sickle cell anemia that she convicted wrongly for having her child.
No issue with them getting a job.
Convictions.
If somebody
hold tight.
no issue with people getting
real quick,
out here.
I dropped a poll, guys. Is voting Democrat and an endorsement of LGBTQ? So please answer that poll so I can close it out. But I did have a follow up from Pastor Kurt, because tons of media personalities, political commentators, and all of the above have consistently stated that the Democratic Party has done nothing.
Initiated. Yeah, I like that video there.
But, no, it's like I said, It was interesting to say the least, but at the same time, we should do a follow-up or a part 2 of that. But at the same time, this is the thing. Okay, it was a pushing of a lifestyle on a group of people. And so, yeah, I understand what you're saying. No, it ain't got nothing to do with, okay, when we talk, with Trump and all the stuff that came along with him. Okay, yeah, you can use that too and say that as well. But at the same time, people were taken into what was going to happen if she took office.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so that was a big
that was it.
80% of black men still voted for her.
And
so we
yeah,
don't want to leave
so
that
no,
out.
I get that and I understand that 100%. And like I said, me being a black woman in America who is a Christ follower, I was trying to go with who is aligning more with my Bible. I couldn't really, it wasn't a hard decision to say, okay, I have some Sodom and Gomorrah here, and I have a question mark here, because with the question mark, I don't know what's going to happen here if I go this way, but at least I don't have this being pushed on children in schools. And I couldn't see that being pushed on children in schools. So that was my whole thing. And I just feel like kids should be kids.
Wrap it up right here. We got to wrap it up.
Yeah, we do.
Because we went over an hour here.
We did.
But we really enjoyed the show. We're going to try to do maybe a follow-up or a continuation on that, just to see how that works out. And definitely, you want to say your parting words, and we can.
Yes. Thank you all for tuning in for this reaction. If you like the content, please hit the like button below. That helps put us in the algorithm to get more content spread out to other viewers. Also, share it. If you liked what you heard today, share the content. That also builds our podcast. And subscribe. It's absolutely free. Subscribe. That actually gets us to our lucky number that we want to get to. We're trying to grow our podcast. So, and again, at Luke-N-SHAE'S place, a positive mentality is a destined reality. Your mental health is important. Wear your smile. Stay positive. Until next time, thank you so much.
God bless. You guys take